to our episode 55 of our podcast Cultivating a New Generation. In today's section of Drops of Wisdom, we are going to discuss and talk about the book Maybe You Should Talk with Someone or to Someone by Lori Gottlieb, and we are going to touch on the topic of the emotions. How often do you feel and speak about your emotions? We know that it's extremely important to talk about our emotions, what is happening, and how we feel. The more we try to repress our emotions, the more we try to pretend or create a narrative and a persona that is protecting you from what you are feeling, the more you are stuffing yourself with this kind of energy that with time it's going to be turned into something that is going to give you symptoms, physical symptoms. I dare to say that more than 80% of the diseases come from an emotional source, and the underlying cause is a repressed emotion or something traumatic that happened to you earlier in your childhood. Our deepest emotions help us to know more about the kind of subtle or big traumas that we store, neglect, or many times we develop a coping mechanism to tolerate them. Hence, the more you allow yourself to peel the layers of your psyche, the easier you'll be to self-regulate. And self-regulation means accepting that you are feeling an emotion, that something is not right within you. Patients and people often begin therapy believing in unhelpful narratives that they have constructed about their problems. Usually, it is pretty unhelpful, this narrative, because it's one that the patient uses to simplify the problems that he or she has and project them outward and try to look for someone to blame instead of digging deeper and shifting her focus inward. People uses defense mechanisms to avoid confronting the truth, and during therapy you are able to see, and the psychotherapy or the coach is able to see through them with the help that it is just questioning what is happening. The first thing that is happening, generally speaking, is that we don't like these painful emotions and we try to avoid them as much as possible, as much as we can. And the second thing is that, again, generally speaking, we want to feel positive about ourselves and we want to reflect something positive. But that is not possible and that is not helpful. Therapy often revolves around the loss and the recovery of human connection. A lack of human connection is one of the most underlying issues that brings patients into therapy. So forging a connection with their therapist then plays a crucial role in bringing them out again and trying to allow these emotions to come to the surface by helping them reach a place of healing. Oftentimes, therapy also revolves around the loss and recovery of a sense of meaning in a patient's life. Meaning is extremely important. Having no sense of meaning can make our lives feel empty. And it's another common underlying issue that brings many patients into this therapy room. Regaining a sense of freedom is one of the keys to start the recovery process. No matter what situations we face, even in the dearest of circumstances, we still possess the freedom to confront our circumstances in one way or another. We can choose the easier, the healthier way, or we can choose the more difficult, the negative way. And some ways are healthier than others, as I'm just pointing out. So you think sometimes that picking up the negative road, it's gonna be easier. stuffing up your emotions or neglecting what you are feeling, it's easier? It is not. In the long term, it's going to cost you a lot more and it is going to give you a lot of more symptoms and probably make you prone to develop a chronic disease. Our resistance to change can make it difficult to make use of our freedom and choose the healthier path. But unfortunately, people tend to have this internal resistance to change. The resistance largely arises from a simple fact. There is a certain sense of comfort that comes with familiarity, that comes with knowing what you are doing. And this can even extend to painful, unhealthy aspects of a person's life once our habits become well enough established. When someone develops a sense of comfortable tranquility or familiarity with an unhealthy aspect of their lives, it starts acting like a powerful magnetic force, attracting more of the same and repulsing change. Letting our emotions out is the key to letting your guard down and allowing these emotions to flow. Emotion means energy moving, energy that needs to find an outlet. If you are not allowing the emotion to get out, to move, then that means you are repressing it. And repressing your emotions is just going to make you probably look positive for many people. But inside of you, you are causing a lot of damage. And that's especially true when it comes to the deepest negative emotions, like the fear of death or isolation. Most of us don't want to feel those emotions, so we try to repress them. And some people even resort to creating these walls and defense mechanisms. So, how can we cope with them? How can we solve these? And how can I summarize all of these highlights and tips that I'm giving you in order to self-regulate? First, understanding that in general, humans, people, don't like to feel painful emotions. It is not a pleasant thing, and we will avoid them if we can, but that's not the best way. We want to feel positive about ourselves, and we want other people to feel positive about us too. But that just means that no one knows how you really feel. And let alone, it's not important how all people know how you feel. It is important that you feel and you accept your emotions. Otherwise, these are the ones that are more dangerous. The people that look positive and inside they have a deep depression because they can take very harsh decisions about even taking their lives. So just be careful and know that you can ask for help because sometimes we don't know how to handle all the rainbow of emotions. The second quote or phrase that I can use to summarize is when people or a patient begins to go to therapy, he or she usually doesn't just have a presenting problem. He or she also has created a whole narrative built around the problem, one that the patient uses to simplify his or her problem and project it outward instead of digging deeper and shifting the focus inward. So it's extremely important to know how you feel, to detect certain emotions, and to question more about them, to go deeper into the questions in order to get to the root of the problem. Because the more you question them, the more you ask yourself, why are you feeling like that? The easier it will be for people and for you to understand yourself. Thank you very much for paying attention. It is Mother's Day in Mexico, so happy Mother's Day. And it will be this Sunday, Mother's Day in the US. So happy Mother's Days for all the moms in the US and everywhere in the world where they are celebrating happy Mother's Days. It is extremely important, the job of a mom. Thank you. Have a nice afternoon and mid of the week. We will listen to each other next week. Bye.